if you like, bro, if you fall, you gonna get right back up. You gotta treat the rap like that.
Yeah.
Down for me to go.
Yo, record this shit, bro.
It's down for me. I know.
This shit
Down
is
for
so
me.
hard. Oh my god.
You record that?
To go.
This is smash.
He said, this is smash. I said, this is smash. Oh, okay. Real fast. I ain't sending the tabs. I ain't spinning the tab. Better get in the cab.
Anyway, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Thank you, brother, for coming on. Welcome,
man.
everybody. Game Changers Podcast, episode 5. I'm joined with a very special guest, a close friend of mine that we actually met through business, Dan Robertson. He is the owner of Area Specialists. Man, a super... you know what I love about you guys is you guys are just... You're not like... I don't know, you guys are a little bit different, man. You're very involved with your clients, your social media, and everything like that. So Dan's in the real estate game. He's a top G when it comes to anything to do with that. At the moment, I drove through Langwarren and these houses going up for sale and it's got Dan's face all over it. So he's a man with knowledge in the industry, and I'm super blessed to have him here because anyone looking to get into the real estate industry or know information about real estate, housing, anything like that, Dan's the G to share that information with you. So
Well, thanks, Jay. I certainly appreciate it, mate. Since I've seen the podcast, it looks like it's going successfully.
yeah,
Game Changers, perfectly and appropriately named for somebody like yourself, my friend.
that's what we want to do, man. Like any industry you're a part of,
100%.
I really want to get people in here who are just like, I could put you, like, you obviously service the Langwarren area, but chuck you in any other suburb and you'll just dominate it, man. So thank you for coming on. How's business anyway?
Yeah, well, I got involved with Area Specialists going on about 12 months ago now.
Yep.
We've just clicked over the 12-month mark, which has flown on by. I mean, in that time, we've already had some incredible personal accolades. Like,
Yep.
I've been doing this now for 15 years.
Okay.
Which I've just turned 33. I remember starting 4 days after I turned 18, which was still Peninsula bound. I started in Mount Martha.
Yep.
I remember my family purchased a property off Harcourts at the time, which at the time was probably the leading franchise in real estate within Victoria. And I'm all about leverage in life.
Yep.
And the leverage was my parents had just bought off them. How can I get an opportunity with them? So I was not even 18 at the time, and I'm like, well, wait a moment, we've just bought off you.
Yeah.
I think I deserve an opportunity to get into the game.
Oh, okay.
And they said no to me. They said no to me a number of times.
What?
Well, I had no experience. I mean, my family's from hospitality.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But you know what hospitality does? It breeds people who are prepared to work hard.
It does, man. It does.
110%.
Yeah. Like on the cleaning side, on the cleaning side of our business, a lot of people who come from the hospitality background are weapons, man.
Correct.
Like head down, let's get this done.
I've got a rule, and I guess I'm actually putting this out here now because this is normally in-house,
Yep.
is before you hire someone,
Yeah.
you take them to a cafe, you take them to a restaurant, and you see how they treat the waiter.
Okay.
Because if they have any disrespect or believe that they're greater than the waiter, which is in a service-based industry there to service your needs
Yeah.
for that hour that you're there, it's a no-go. If you can't treat somebody who's serving you food, serving you a coffee well, to me, you won't come a part of the business. That's a really important one.
That is a good one. Yeah. I'm very respectful. Like if I ever go to like a restaurant or a cafe,
100%.
especially like a restaurant, I always like the guy who's waiting at there, like, oh, do you have a booking yet, Jay? And I always shake his hand and go, thank you, mate. Yeah,
100%.
sit down. But that's good because like what I also do, like on my side, is I take people to play golf.
Perfect.
So if we're playing golf and, they're, in the bush somewhere and they give it a little kick, I'm like, oh, okay.
That would be me.
Yeah.
Because I can't play golf, so don't take me playing golf.
Yeah,
no way.
yeah.
No way.
Yeah, so, or, they're trying to, like, they've shot, like, let's say we're playing like a par 4.
Yeah.
And I'm counting their shots because I'm real competitive. And I'm like, all right, that's shot number 9. I'm like, oh, what'd you get, man? I think it was a 4. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, we're on par.
Yeah, it's how like that way, like how you do it, how I do it. You get to see people's character pretty easily, in a different
100%.
kind of format. Instead of being like, oh, what do you like when it comes towards clients? Oh, yeah, no, I'm really respectful. It's like, okay.
But I think if you recognise that there's a byproduct of that,
Yeah.
and the byproduct is that then the waiter wants to spend more time with you.
Yeah.
Then the waiter wants to service your needs. Then the waiter goes, oh, well, we might actually bring something else out for these people,
Yeah.
which is then not on the menu.
And I feel like you build especially when you build a connection, like there's a few cafes I go to, like,
100%.
religiously, if I'm passing through, and you walk and say, hey, mate, how you going, blah, blah, blah.
Correct.
And they're like, oh, yep, your coffee's about $5. And like, oh, that's $3.50. I'm like,
Yes, yes. And you know at that point you've built rapport, and you're also sending people now to their business, and you're seeing this good mutual relationship.
Yeah.
My wife and I have a rule, which is we would always go to the second best restaurant for the best service,
okay.
because the food is only a part of that process.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to eat, we got to enjoy the food, but also the service that you get surrounding that. And this is what I kind of take into my business. I feel like there's a lot of good or talented real estate agents out there,
Yep.
but they're not seen, or they're not promoting themselves well enough, or they're purely just focusing on dollar productive activity, when if you actually focus on client experience, or I got told earlier in my career that it's not what you say, it's how you make people feel.
Yes. Yes.
Because when you leave, they're going to forget what you say,
Yep.
but they're probably not going to forget the feeling that you left or imparted on them.
100%. And that's where me and Dan connected. Dan sold 2 of my houses. Our first house we were involved with, we were selling, obviously. And we went through, I think it was about 4 agents came through.
This was
And
during COVID.
This was, during COVID.
Yes.
And so 4 of them, out of the 3, we got the same pitch from a different person. And I'm
Yes.
just like, okay, yep. Everyone's like, no, look, I promise we can do this. The next person, I promise we can do this. Next one, I promise we can do this. I'm like, okay. To be honest, if I was just going out of those 3, I was just picking, I'd literally just put my hand in the hat, put their names in, pull it out. Okay, I'm getting the same result. It's just 3 different person. Dan walks in, big G. This is a nice house, man. Lovely, blah, 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 blah. And like, we're not even talking about the house. We're not even talking about the sales. We're connecting, and we feel connected. And then we were talking for like 20 minutes, and then we started looking to the house.
Correct.
So before we even started looking to like business, choosing him for, to sell our house, we had already connected. Like, we were pretty much friends. I'm like, as soon as he left, I'm like, I still don't remember what we spoke about concerning the house, but we'll just go with him because we connected, and then now he sold that house. He sold our other house. And one thing about Dan, and that's why I really wanted to get him on, is when he's like in sales mode, he's the same person as he is just personally. That's just how he is. And that's rare, man.
Thanks, man.
A lot of people, they'll be like, you rock up, they're in sales mode, and then as soon as they get in the car, they're just like a completely different person,
Well, I feel like there was a pinnacle change kind of midway through my career where you'd drive to an appointment, you'd G yourself up, you'd put on the sales attitude, you'd put on the voice, and you'd go into that mode. But then it got to a point where I started feeling like there was a loss of connection for me as well. I feel like I was trying to be what the model of a real estate agent looks like, which is, suit, tie, nice car, we've got fancy material, and we're there to pitch, and we're there to tell you what to do. Well, I actually changed one thing. It wasn't too much, but you actually identified it there. When we met at Peter Court, I think it was Peter Court.
It was Peter Court,
is you sit down and you talk to people first. What's notorious for real estate agents is they have like a phone call to book the appointment. It's 1 or 2 minutes. You can't connect. Yes, you can get a little bit of a feeling, but for me, it's like, let's sit down for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. We've never met each other. I have no idea of what you actually want from me. Let's get to know each other, and then let's walk around. Instead of straight away put the bag down, oh, geez, the flooring looks nice. Oh, the painting there. Oh, you like this and that. Well, that's not really connecting.
It's not.
Feels fake.
Yeah, 100%. I get what you say, because like, I feel like when I'm doing quotes for my business, when I really connect with the client, as soon as I get in my car, I'm like, I've got that job.
I'm like,
I've got that job, 100%. I'll even go
Correct.
back and tell like, the guys and the girls, and be like, we just got a job.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, where? I was like, I don't know. I'm about to send the quote, but I know I've got that job.
Yes.
And 9 times out of 10, they're like, yep, we want to go with you.
Correct. And then it becomes less about the money. Because I think when you ask somebody before you know them and before they know you and appreciate that you bring value to the scenario, they're going to say, if you ask them what's most important, they're typically going to bring up fee. Well, fees got to be second or third down the line, because the service, the product, the way they feel, the accountability you have to them, the communication, all of these things have to come first. Because, I mean, we can all do a discounted fee, but you strangely don't want the discounted service.
Are you try and like I felt like what I learned because this year, like personally for myself, I've been really trying to learn more about how to sell, you know, getting into sales and stuff like that. That's like when you came on, I was like, wonder what he's gonna tell me. So put that in my inventory,
The
you know.
secret sauce.
Yeah, and one guy I was listening to, he was saying you're trying to sell the results, you know. People want to know the results, and I'm just like, instead of sitting here like, you know, I'm gonna give you the best service you ever wanted. Don't go with this. Don't go with that. You know, you pick me. Instead of saying that, you can be like, well, what do you guys want to do?
Correct.
You obviously guys want the best sale. You want the best communication. You want the best experience. You know, and that's what I'm here to provide.
Correct.
And that's a big thing that I see with you, man. It's just like, as soon as like when we first sold Peter Court, as soon as we had been like, yep, we're getting you done, communication. Literally every day, you know, like
Correct.
this is just look, you guys haven't asked, just an update. We're looking at doing this. What do you guys think? Yep, all good, sweet as. And, you know, with you guys and you guys run like you and your team, man, are just so on point. As soon as you get I'm just going off like your social media posts. It seems like as soon as a house comes through, you guys are up, yep, blah, blah, blah. And it just makes a difference, man, you know?
Well, I'm pretty focused on ensuring that you've got to be living under a rock to not know that one of our properties are for sale.
Yep.
I think we're in a pretty competitive marketplace.
Yep.
We only have a couple of mediums to then put the properties out to the public.
Yep.
And I think something which agents don't do well enough, yes, it's very, very important to focus on your client who's paying you, which is the owner. But let's also not forget that the buyer is the person who unlocks exactly what they're after. So we never blur the lines of who we work for. However, if you can build rapport, trust, gain a sense of comfort with the buyer, well, when we need to negotiate with them another $10, $15, $20, $50,000, they're feeling like we're doing it with them, not against them. We're not strategizing against them. However, we know in our heart that we've had strategic conversations with our client around ensuring that that buyer is coming to a premium.
Yeah.
Success leaves clues. And what I mean by that is there's
100%,
there's a recipe to bake a cake, right? There's a recipe to do what you do.
Yep.
And there's typically a recipe to selling properties. And I think let's look at like marketing, for example. Well, you have a couple of opportunities with a property to market it really well. You would argue photos are pretty important. You'd say floor plans are pretty important. But then people tend to discredit, well, an ad copy. Well, yeah, there's a consumer base who may not read the ad copy. But what about the 5% of the consumer base who loves the ad copy, who takes it in, who is aspirational because of what they read? Let's make every single point of that just so good that they are a saying which we have is perception's reality. And let's make sure that they have the right perception of the property and the agent before they come down. Because if they perceive us as a discount, low service agent, well, they're going to mimic that. Well, if they perceive us as a professional, high end, we're there for our client, they're going to be prepared and ready to probably negotiate and probably have to fight for the property.
Because it's like, you think about real estate, it is a pretty tough gig, man. Like you're also trying to get the sale, like obviously win the client to sell the house, but then you also got to deal with the buyers, man. So you're dealing with two parties and there's big money up for grabs, and you're trying to deal with, I would say you've seen a lot of people's like different emotions when it comes like, oh, we're not selling, I reckon you would have seen it all. But like energy, man, like what do you do for yourself to keep yourself like at bay? Because like you could have the person's house you're trying to sell, but like what's the update? How we going? Blah blah blah. And then you got potential buyers, and you're like trying to get them over the line. Like that's fucking hard too. Like
of course, I think I have a high level of accountability in this role because I'm also a high paid individual to perform. So we know that every client expects different things of us. Like I have business clients which say, Dan, I just want a message or two a week on the really poignant things of our campaign. You don't need to try to impress me. We know you're good. Just tell us what's important. I mean, those clients are generally quite easy to appease because it's all strategic and it's all very analytical. But I've been humbled so many times in this career that you deal with death, divorce.
Like during a sale?
During, prior, during settlement, divorce, financial duress. Probably one of the most humbling experiences, and I think in terms of privacy, I won't mention any specifics, but I had a client many years ago, which was setting their family up for, unfortunately, his imminent passing. I was young. I think I was pretty progressive. I was working hard. I felt like I was the right person for the job. But I remember when he walked me out to the car, he said, Dan, you know that I'm not well. However, I've been told that I might have 6 months to live. The people inside are most important to me.
Yep.
And I want to ensure that they are financially ready and equipped to do what they need to when I'm not here.
Yeah, okay. Fucking hell.
Oh, man.
Fucking hell.
I just remember the severity of it because a part of me was still youthful enough where I was like, I want to win this business. But then I remember sitting in the car and I was like, fuck.
Holy shit.
I nearly got nervous about winning the business because I went, this is so important to this person.
Yep.
And I can't let him down.
Yeah.
And I just remember that even though I had other clients at the time and I was doing the right thing by them, it's like I had this laser focus on this one property, which probably wasn't the right thing for everyone else at the time. But I remember selling that home and I remember it being as positive of an experience as it could be in a negative scenario.
Yeah.
And I feel like there were moments like that in my career which changed me as a person.
They do, yeah.
Because
100%.
not once during that did I ever think about the remuneration or the reward I got at the end.
Yeah.
Not once.
Yeah, okay.
And for me, it's like, well, that person's been somebody who's referred, told about their experience and told about how important we were in a time of their life, which was pretty vulnerable.
Yep.
They're the experience which shape you, for me.
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah. I feel like experience does create you into who you are today. Like,
Absolutely.
especially like, times like that when you're dealing with a client who is, ultimately it sounds like it's kind of like one of his last wishes is he just wants to, before he, I guess passes on, is to at least leave something behind for those he loves,
100%.
And when you're kind of in the middle of that, it's kind of like, fuck, because you're kind of like, okay, what can I do to just make this happen,
Well, 100%. And it humbles a young person who typically is aspirational about the wrong things.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real with you and everyone who's going to watch this is I started in real estate for all the wrong reasons.
Yep.
We actually had an experience. My mum was selling a property in Richmond.
Okay.
This bougie, high-end, Porsche driving, suited up,
Oh, yeah.
excellent real estate agent arrived at the door. I was young. We're talking 14 or 15.
Yeah.
I was like in awe of this guy. I was like, look at the leather on his shoes. Look at the leather in his... Like, I was in awe.
Yeah.
Now, as much as I had this perception of him, he did so good by our family.
Yep.
Right? Mum had this this single-fronted Victorian in Richmond with the only off-street parking in the street. He's like, we're going to take it to auction.
I know the parking in Richmond is...
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, you can't even park a bike down there.
No, but as well, like he took it to auction and he got this incredible result, right?
Yep.
We're talking 750,000 at the time, I think it was, or thereabouts. And
Which is a lot. How long ago was that?
well, I'm 33, so we're talking 15 plus years ago.
Yeah, that's heaps.
and funnily enough, the next door neighbour bought it, I think, who had the other single fronted Victorian, and now it's a double fronted Victorian with off-street
He'd
parking.
be sitting on a fortune.
Be scary to know. But I remember how much impact he had. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then people would reinforce it in my life. They'd go, you've got to do that.
Yeah.
I was not a straight A student. I was far from it. I was
Same.
hanging on to being allowed to stay at school.
Yeah, same.
So like for me, I found there were moments in my schooling where I really tried. And there were moments where I didn't. But the moments I tried, I got constantly let down because my grades weren't in line with my effort.
Yeah.
And school wasn't for me. And people just said, well, Dan, you can talk, you can communicate, you can connect with people. Like, what are you going to do? Anyway, I mean, we've got some successful people in our school, which has come out of our school, but we'd have to be somewhere thereabouts of who's doing the best.
Yeah, okay then.
And it proves that it's not analytics or what you write or whatever it is. It's your effort and your appetite.
Yeah. It goes a long way. I left at year 10, got straight into the trade. I mean, I always wanted to be an architect when I was doing schooling back in New Zealand. So I actually went to a boarding school back in New Zealand, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was in boarding school because the schooling system in New Zealand, like I grew up on farmland. So the school, there was more, I don't know, animals than kids there, you know.
Yeah.
It was just a mess.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice when you think about it going back. It is quite nice. But the schooling, like I always wanted to do architecture.
Okay.
So my parents sent me down to boarding school, a place called Whangarei, and I was there for about a year and I loved it, man, you know. And they were putting me on the right paths. Like the schooling was full high end to like, I wanted to be an architect, so they'd put me on like graphics, art, maths,
Awesome.
So I was really, really ambitious of being that. I came to Australia and I was like, look, I want to pursue my architecture. And they're just like, yep, no problems. And they're just like cooking,
Yeah.
social studies. I'm just like, what the heck? So my
Yes.
whole passion to be at school was gone.
Yep.
So I got to year 10 and I did year 10 twice. And then I just said, nah, I'm out of here. Got into the trade and, kind of your experience, like get into something quite early and you really love it. You develop it into now successful businesses, So it's not all about staying at school. Like if you want to be
100%.
if you want to be a doctor or something that needs some
Correct.
academics, then stay in school. But So that's how you got into the real estate games, just seeing that guy. Oh, I would have
100%.
done the same thing.
Well, he just left such an impact. But I think if any young people are happening to watch this, I think if you have energy and aspiration, and that's not necessarily in line with your education
Yep.
at school, obviously take it really seriously. But it's just a transition of your energy. If you put good
Yep.
energy into something that you love and you're passionate about, I've met people across my career which are multi-millionaires.
Yep.
But let me tell you, some of them deal in all the jobs which you don't want to do,
Yeah.
like waste disposal.
Yeah.
I met a client once which has houses everywhere and they did the job everyone didn't want to do. Waste disposal.
There you go. Yeah.
And now they're surely around one of the best businesses in Victoria and they're driving the most beautiful cars, living in the most beautiful houses. But I bet there were moments of their life where they grinded and they did things which other people weren't
Yep.
prepared to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
And that's what shapes people into success. It's,
Correct.
going back to that story you're telling me about that guy is dealing with situations like that, going through losses, going through the hard times. And that's why I say, like, a lot of people, it's about daring to be great, man. You have to
agree.
get out there and you have to experience. And that's what builds, your own personal portfolio to actually, get to some success. You have to go out there, you have to fail, you have to, deal with that shit client, experience
Correct.
that client, lose that job. There's been some jobs like I'm competing against my competitors. And I'm just like, I need this job, man. I need to get this job because it will put a staple on, us being the best. And they've
100%.
turned around and be like, oh, I've gone someone else. And I'm just like, took that to heart, So
It still kills me every time we lose, but I
Yep.
think we get some nice injections of failure regularly. And
Yep.
what I mean by that is we get experiences where we go out and we walk away thinking we'll get the business and then we don't. I mean, I always try to be productive and learn from those experiences
Yep.
and try to get better, because I think what's so challenging about the real estate industry in particular is you are judged every day.
Yep.
Every day on the kind of person you are, the kind of performance you are. And sadly, when you are perceived as something which they don't want, done. They won't want to work with you.
yeah.
So it's a constant chasing your tail. And I think that's why I really encourage, but also encourage people to be diligent before they get into the real estate industry.
Yep.
Because it's not what I saw at the start,
Yeah,
which is
okay.
actually what it is. It's not driving the nice cars. It's not having the nice suits. It's grinding. It's hard work. It's having a
Yeah.
laptop out until 11 o'clock at night, sending off contracts. I've got a client right now who's overseas, which it's speaking to him at appropriate times in Australia to when he's available.
Yeah.
I mean, that's challenging.
Yeah. And where has he gone overseas?
Yeah, so up in Asia, and we
What's
also
the time difference up there?
we've had certain clients time differences which are 6 or 7 hours where we have to do a deal
what?
at like 11 or 12 o'clock at night,
Yeah, okay.
which is fine. I mean, we're paid well for that.
Yep.
But I think they have an expectation that we're available, and we expect that. I would expect that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's pretty important.
The real estate industry. I'd love to be a real estate agent.
You'd be very good at it.
There's a couple jobs I wish I got into. I only got into the roofing industry because, like, going back, I just wanted to get into a trade. Got into a trade, loved it, then developed into a business. But I'd love to go back. Like, one is being an architect. I always wanted to do that, but the schooling didn't match up. Blah blah blah. Real estate and like building, like
Yeah.
being a developer, that stuff like that. I feel like just with real estate, or being an agent like that, it's a different line. Like, it's a different life. It looks like it's a different type of life. Like, it's not like you wake up. Like, I wake up, I've got a bit of a routine.
Yeah.
I go and see the boys, do some office work. But yours, is your day always changing every day? It's never the same day.
Yeah, I think once you get to a point in your career where you can have balance, and balance is very hard to achieve,
Yep.
especially when you're trying to be a high performer, because for me, at 33, I started when I was 18. I don't feel like I've gifted myself the opportunity yet to take the foot off the accelerator.
Yeah.
But I feel like today, Friday, I've got up, I've had a good breakfast, I've gone and walked the dog,
Yep.
I've spent a moment
Denver.
with my wife. Denver,
love
the
that
French
dog.
bulldog, he's a beautiful boy. He's my life.
Yeah.
And then I've come here, and after here I have also a little bit of balance. I'm going to go get the car washed.
Yep.
I'm going to be on the phone. I know I'll have a number of missed calls, but I'm prepared to drop everything as well and get done what needs to be. But I'm going to have some balance today. So I think if you're somebody who wants to have some level of flexibility and balance,
Yep.
real estate can offer it to you,
Yep.
but it doesn't offer it to you in the first 2 years as a minimum. Depends how hard you're prepared to work.
Yep.
Because I was originally going to be a chef.
Yeah. Okay then.
My mum and dad were both chefs. Dad was
Those are big hours, aren't they? Or like stressful hours.
big hours, but my father always said to me that your effort is not financially rewarded.
Yeah.
Yes, you can have some accolades. Dad, for 18 years with 3 chef hats. He was incredible.
Yeah,
He-
okay.
he was one of the best chefs in Australia, in my opinion, for a period of time in his career.
Really?
And all I wanted to do was follow in his footsteps,
Yeah.
right?
As you do. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're proud of them.
When you see your dad, like obviously thriving in an industry, you're like, oh
100%.
wow, that's yeah. I get,
And there's something fulfilling for me about cooking or being a part of hospitality, and I still have aspirations for that at some point. But for me, when I started working in that, I realized if I do more prep, more meals, better meals, well, I got paid the same as the guy beside me
yeah. Okay.
who might have done less than me.
Yeah.
I might have held up the team.
Yeah.
So that was a big changing moment for me as a young person going, well, I'm not going to be remunerated or recognized.
Yep.
And I think all of us need a pat on the back. I mean, I recognize I'm someone which I'll thrive not off having the income come in. It's probably the recognition from the client to say, Dan, thank you for what you did for our family.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Because that's what just makes me drive and drive and drive, because I really enjoy that part of it.
And I feel like that's a good lesson people should learn as well. It's just like I've noticed when I chase a good result, or I'm trying to chase like not the finances, but I'm actually trying to chase a good result for my clients, or I'm doing it, to obviously leave a good staple in my industry, in my business, is that the money will just naturally come.
Of course.
Because I feel like I feel like it's called money drunk. Is when you go into a sale and you're just like, I need this job, I need this job, I need the money, I need the money.
Yeah.
You just start saying loopy stuff, and the client, people don't understand. The client 9 times out of 10 can tell if you're really trying to get them over the line. They're probably
Yeah.
just like, okay, relax, mate. But when you go in there and you're like, my purpose is to inspire them to have a good experience. I hope they enjoy, and you focus on them just having a good experience with you. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, nah, we want them to have the job, and that's something I learned as well. It's just, when I didn't chase the money and I chased, trying to do the experience and doing something good and great and having fun with it, the money just came with it, so.
Well, I feel like this is a cultural problem in real estate, because your metric in a real estate business is either how many sales you've done
Yep.
or how much income you've brought in for the month or for the business.
Yep.
And I feel like the metric has to change. It should be, how many referrals did your client give you this month? How many good positive reviews did you get this month?
Yeah.
How many people called you this month saying they saw the sold board down the road and they think you've done a good job and they want to work with you?
Yeah.
Well, they should be the metrics.
Yep.
Because we have a saying called commission breath.
Yep.
Well, you don't want to go into a business with commission breath.
Yeah.
I understand that if I pitch well, I'm going to be financially remunerated. But you have to show the client that you're separating yourself from that.
Yeah.
And you're here because you're a professional, you know what you're doing, and you can impart something really positive on them.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the sale, well, great, you're remunerated.
Yeah.
But for me, that remuneration comes 2-3 months after the experience.
Yeah.
So there's no point thinking about it at the start, because I'm not going to get it.
One thing I want to quickly talk about is because something I actually admire what you do with your industry, right? How many Google reviews do you have?
So I use realestate.com.au reviews,
Yep.
and I'm at 205 reviews,
Fucking hell.
which is on a 12-month rotational basis.
Yeah,
so
okay.
you find the reviews come and go, so you've got to be really consistent.
Yep.
Yep.
Is there a difference? So like you've obviously built if I was like, let's say I'm a client wanting to sell, you've got a good social media platform there. I can go into, Dan, area specialist, look them up. and it's consistent, active, consistent, active. Oh, what 200 and so views, blah blah blah. Does that make it easier for you? Have you noticed, like, since now that you've kind of established a good social backing where people can, as soon as they meet you, they're like, all right, he was a lovely guy. Let's see if this guy's legit. Bang. Oh, okay, this guy's consistent. Has that helped you get jobs across the line? Like having just that social kind of backing behind you?
So I think I'm not naive enough to recognize that amongst my area, there are people who don't know me.
Yep.
And when they research for a real estate agent, they need to pick off a short list of people.
Yep.
But the list is quite big.
Yep.
How is their credibility? Well, results tends to have that, but also client satisfaction.
Okay.
So yes, I do feel from time to time that people call and they already want to go with us
Yep.
because of what they've socially seen.
Yeah.
But it's our job not to then muck it up.
Yeah. Okay.
So they have a good impression, so I need to continue to work on that good impression, which is then connection. So yeah, look. I think when we go out or we do certain things, we look at Google reviews, we look at specific client reviews, we look at social media, and that gives us that first impression.
Yeah.
So yes, I say to anyone in the real estate industry, which could be controversial, is yes, you're supposed to stand up for what you believe in terms of your fee.
Yep.
But if you're new,
Yep.
you have to get yourself to a point where you're doing 20, 25 sales as a minimum per year.
Yep.
To be recognized.
Yeah. Okay.
Because 2025 means that you have 40 to 50
Yep.
clients saying things about you,
Yeah.
positive or negative. You've got buyers and sellers. Well, they're the people who are going to generate your business.
Yeah. Okay.
So if that means that at the start you need to reduce what you're prepared to earn
Yep.
to make sure that the area sees how good you are,
Yep.
do it.
Yeah.
It's important.
Because I see, like, you obviously dominate the Langwine area. Like, I see your signs everywhere, even at the car wash across from
You want Warrandyte Road.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm always at the car wash, man. Like, that's kind of like I go for
Me
the
too.
actual, because it's not the brushes, it's the. So I
Yes.
go in there and I'll just turn the car off and catch up on some work. Drive out. Oh, there's Dan. He's still there. Drive down the road. Oh, he's selling another house. But it takes time, obviously, to get into that. And obviously, you someone who really invests into their craft, really invests
Absolutely.
into. And you know what I like about you? You're always increasing what you have. Like, it's not like, okay, this is our structure, let's just keep it at that for the rest of our lives. You're always bringing something in, doing this and doing that. So to be honest, if anyone's looking for a good real estate agent, he is what he is, and he's good at what he does. So real estate. So you got into it because obviously Big G rocked up, Porsche, blah blah blah,
Correct.
which I love that aspect as well. Like, I see there's like a program in Sydney. What was it called?
Oh, is this $1 million listings?
Yeah,
or
and
something
stuff like that. I'm watching it. I'm just
I
like,
think that's Gavin Rubenstein and his team, which is a part of the Ray White network. And he's always been someone which has always done particularly well. But geez, he appears to be a hard worker. So he earns it.
Yeah. So like, I watch some of those. I don't really watch much TV, but
Yep.
it came up on my phone and I started watching. Yeah, two episodes later, and I'm just like, it is like, to the eyes, it's just like, yeah, that's a good life to
Correct.
have. But obviously, it does come with all those experiences in life. So, what's helped you? So you've got your own industry. You're in sales, obviously, because there's different type of real estate. There's obviously property management and stuff like that. But you're straight particular sales.
Yes. I do think something worth recognizing is when you're in the real estate industry, it's going to highlight your flaws.
Yeah. Okay.
So the sooner you're in the position to be able to offset things that you don't do well,
Yep.
like anyone in any business, I think this would apply to anything,
Yep.
is I focus very heavily on the few things I know I do particularly well.
Yep.
There are other people in our business which do the things that either I don't enjoy or I don't do quite as well.
Yep.
Because I recognize I'm not the best at everything.
Yep. So
But the things which I'm very good at are the things which actually impact the client most.
yeah. Okay.
Which, for example, I've trained on negotiating for 15 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think when I started, negotiating, we used to get taught of being quite a fierce, quite a intimidating character. Well, I mean, if you bring that to me today, you're going to lose me.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in the car salesman pushing me to buy the car.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in the salesperson when I'm looking for property to be pushing me.
Yep.
I want them to indulge me in everything they know.
Yep.
So then I feel obliged or I feel like wanting to. So I think pivoting and changing based upon your clientele is particularly important as well.
Because you're always trying to improve your skills, your assets, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's like we're going, as time progresses, we're going into different times. Like at the moment, it's very much social media based. That's what I was saying about the social media, because everyone's on their phone. So as soon as they see some sort of backing, and that's kind of why we push with our social media.
Correct.
And then as soon as you engage with them, then it's now your job to kind of sell them. But I could understand, like going back a few years ago, I feel like people were just a bit more staunch. So you could go on and be a bit more staunch. The approach in
Correct.
sales could be a bit more different, where now it's all about the experience. Now people
Correct.
we live in a life where it's all about the experience. Everyone wants to. I feel like social media has really pushed the agenda that way. It's all about,
Absolutely.
yeah, I had a good experience. Let me talk about it. Let me pass this on. So how do we get in contact with you? Was it referral through? How do we find you? Was it through Jess and Matt or?
Yeah, I think it's probably likely to have been through Jess and Matt, which we've also sold multiple properties for, including recently.
Yeah.
But I think that is a part of our organic reach. You might have already seen some of our things in your letterbox or for sale signs, but you may have seen it and not connected with it.
Yeah.
I think, that referral probably allowed you to connect with it.
What I like about your industry is sometimes it just takes one client to stem off a few jobs,
Absolutely.
And that's why it's so important, like what we were saying about giving people the experiences, because you just never know what that one job you might win
Correct.
might get you, like he sold a job for them. They had the best experience. They're like, look, you definitely have to do Dan. Okay, sweet. We got Dan. He sold our house. He sold our next house. And that's the importance on, like, I feel like when you're in a role of like business or, it is business, it's so important on how you carry yourself, how
Absolutely.
because you're pretty tall. Like, how tall are you? Like 6?
Yeah, I'm about 6'3" and sitting probably at about 116 kilos. So
So your presence, regardless
it's
of
there.
yeah,
It's there.
yeah. So, and I don't know, people just were drawn to that.
Yep.
People were drawn to that. Not only it's not your height, but you walk and you just have this aura, man. And it's just like you are a tall bloke, but it's just like you have this aura of like care. Before we were talking, like I said, before we were talking about the sale, we're talking about each other. He
Correct.
walks in and he's just like, mate, that is one big truck. And me, because I'm male, ego, I'm like, yeah, no, it is,
Yes.
and then it's the art of sales, man.
100%.
The art of sales. So have you done much like development into sales? Like what do you do for yourself to improve like your skills?
So throughout my 15 years, there is fortunately in real estate quite a lot of training available, whether or not it's free training or paid for training. Even personal development training I think is particularly important, because when you're feeling good, you're putting your best self out there. But at the start, I think there was legislative training, there was training around body language, there was training around tonality.
Yep.
I particularly focused for a large part of my career is sitting with people first, learning their body language, figuring out how to talk to them, because then I had the next 45 minutes of the presentation with intel.
Yep.
I already had the intel.
Yeah.
I think that can also be applied to sales. So, for example, we see quite a lot of people, which I think sometimes can be a mistake, is they put a property on the market day one and they have a set sale date. Well, they don't actually know how the performance of that property is going to go.
Yep.
So sometimes they might sell on that date, but sometimes they've set the campaign up incorrectly or they've made a mistake.
Yep.
And then they get to that date and they might have egg on their face.
Yep.
So for me, I like to act with intelligence
Yep.
and intel and knowledge.
Yep.
So like we might have a first open for inspection and we have an understanding of what buyers are telling us. And then we'll go back to the owner and say, well, this is what we have. Let's learn from this. Why don't we be strategic and do this? Let's place this here. And maybe let's have a closing here.
Yep.
Because we've learned. Real estate, especially right now, it's a very bipolar marketplace.
Okay.
You can have two side-by-side properties which represent similar things. However, one sells in a week and the other one takes 7 weeks to sell.
Yeah. Okay.
And the client over here is not understanding that.
The one that's taking a bit longer.
Correct. So I think right now pivoting and changing, we had to do that with Peter Cord, because I remember
We were in COVID, eh?
we were in COVID. You were behind the phone while
Recording.
we had 15 people or 20 people on a Zoom.
Yeah.
I wasn't even present at your home.
Yeah.
And we're talking our way through it. That was something we never did before.
Yeah.
So we were learning.
You know what I like about COVID? Nothing. I mean, the situation was pretty shit, but those who got through it learned something and usually are excelling in these days.
Amazingly.
Yeah, because I remember when COVID hit, and because I was like because I only operate the Mornington Peninsula, I know all the roofing companies. I can just see like how everyone's going. I don't have to ask them. I just know how everyone's going. And I knew everyone in my industry was closing up shop. I was like,
It's scary.
yeah, I just heard people like, oh, what's his name just shut down. I'm just like, what?
Wow.
And I said, nah, we're not going to, it's the shittest situation
Yep.
we've got, but let's just try and make the best out of it. To the point where it was just like, people were still calling. I'm just like, I was sitting to Tony and we're talking, I'm like, people are calling, man. Why are we just saying, nah, we're not going to come? I'm just like, you know what? I can say it now because we're not in COVID.
Correct.
We're fucking going.
Yeah.
We're going, Tell the clients, look, we're going to come with a mask. We'll do our due diligence, but, if anything, just we'll do it like this, blah, blah. And, dude,
Yeah.
COVID was the best time for us. We blew up, so...
But you pivoted, and there's a real estate agent, I think, in North Sydney.
Yep.
He's quite famous in the McGrath Group, which is called Matt Steinwade. Now, Matt talks a lot about vibrational vicinity.
Yeah.
I love that because you, without even knowing, during that period, whilst other people have their head in their hands and they're closing and they're reforming to what was their scenario.
Yep.
You were saying, well, no, I'm going to pivot, I'm going to change. And that just attracts. So we talk a lot about an attraction business, and an attraction business is that you've been seen to do well for so long.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what mediums they've seen you on, whether or not it's social media, a real estate board, a friend, a letter in their letterbox, your car driving past, the coffee they get at the coffee shop,
Yep.
which has your business card attached to it, whatever it is, they see you as constantly being there in their life.
Yep.
I don't know if this is a true statistic, but someone told me once it takes 14 pieces of communication or marketing
Yep.
to be known by a client.
Okay.
Well, that one phone call ain't going to do well enough.
Yeah.
The one drop in the letterbox ain't going to do well enough. The car driving past with the branding ain't going to do well enough. And you can't just call them 14 times. Because on the second or third time, they're going to say,
Mate.
leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I think that's what people struggle with a lot in my industry is you can't just call people all the time.
Yeah.
You have to figure out and learn how to be present
Yep.
without being present.
One thing I want to quickly touch on is the importance of having like a team, man. But I think more particular, like having people to do the things that you can't do. Like, your energy as a salesman is kind of like the body, the forefront of your business. Your energy is more best spent with the client, dealing with the bigger things to kind of get the sales across the
Correct.
line. So is it important to have a good team around you, Like what for yourself, like you've obviously got Heron, you've got your VA. Has that helped you elevate your business?
Well, a few things is we know when we're having ups and down moments.
Yep.
So we can pull each other out of it. We're all human. Heron's an incredibly positive person. We've worked together for close enough to 3 years.
Yep.
I really wanted her to have some personal autonomy within our business to also shine and be noticed.
Yep.
We see a lot of assistants not gifted the opportunity to be on for sale signs.
Yep.
The brochures, the publications, the autonomy which she gets, like even reviews. She has more 5-star reviews than our second highest competitor, who's been a real estate agent for a long time.
What?
Heron is a weapon because people are so drawn to giving her reviews because they know that she's a part of the scenario. But I think what a lot of real estate agents do wrong is that it's the show and they're the show.
Yeah.
I sit in a listing presentation and I go, guys, yes, you're meeting with me now, but there's somebody else which is really pivotal to this whole scenario.
Yep.
And you're going to meet her shortly. And they know, and we nearly build her up and they have a really high expectation of her.
Yep.
Because I'm not my best without her and I feel like she wouldn't be her best without me.
Yep.
And yeah, look, we obviously have support workers externally from Australia, which are VAs.
Yep.
Which are incredibly capable people, but they're there to do administrational tasks.
Yeah, okay.
I actually feel if you're a client and you're paying me quite a lot of money, you don't expect me to be doing a sold file on your property. You
Yeah.
don't expect me to be punching the email to the conveyancer.
Yeah.
Well, they're not important things.
Yeah.
They're important to be done from our business and a legislative point of view,
Yep.
but they're not important to your bottom dollar.
And as well for yourself, like having other people to take the weight off, certain areas for yourself, that you can focus more in on the sale, doing the bigger picture things. So for yourself, like what are some do's and don'ts of real estate? Like what are some it probably isn't like you should. Everyone should do this. Everyone should do that. But it's like for your own experience, like what are the things you've learned that we should like? If you're looking to get in real estate, do this. If you're looking to get into real estate, don't do this. You know, because obviously it's a very I feel like the reason why is because you're dealing with a market that there are big figures on the line. You know,
Correct.
You're also dealing with people's banks. You know, all that logistics.
Correct.
You know, so what are some do's and don'ts of real estate?
I would start, and I guess most people coming into the industry are generally young.
Yep.
You do have some mature age starters, but I think start where you want to finish. And what I mean by that is a lot of people want to chase, let's call it luxury property.
Yep.
Well, there's no point selling $250,000, $500,000 units. That's not going to help your cause.
Yeah. Okay.
You would rather go seek out the best performers
Yep.
in that luxury high-end real estate, sit underneath them, be a sponge, learn everything, take some personal sacrifice.
Yep.
You don't have to be the top G at that point, but learn off these people and then go out and be that person.
Yes.
So for me is don't grow too quickly.
Yeah.
Be aspirational, but have it refined. Now for me, I probably not the right term, but I was like a dog with a leash around me at the start.
Yeah.
I was an assistant for 2 years, and then I was an office assistant for like a year,
Okay.
which is far longer than what you typically need. But I thrived in having all of these people around me being really successful,
Yep.
and me being like a small glimmering part of that. I felt like I was a part of their team.
Yep.
And I just learnt and I learnt and learnt. And then when I got my chance to stand up,
Yep.
I felt like I had this bulletproof kind of armor on that I'd seen the good scenarios, the bad scenarios, and
Yeah.
I'd be protected by the people surrounding me. So don't grow too quickly.
Yep.
Start where you want to finish. Be diligent. Don't just pick your area based upon, there's $2 million acreage properties.
Yep.
Well, maybe have a look at the volume.
Yep.
Maybe have a look at the clientele, the age group. Are you going to be sitting well with those people?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you look at somewhere like Mount Eliza, which is generally an aging population.
Yep.
Right now, you don't see predominantly too many young estate agents doing particularly well there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are some, and they're high performers, but generally they're really long-term, built ingrained relationships.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a hard market to jump into
Yeah. Or compete with.
or compete with.
Yeah.
Because you're not the 20-year seasoned veteran.
Yep.
So I picked Lane Warren at the time because there was a healthy turnover. There was a balance in the low end and the high end.
Yep.
And I got to spread myself across all of it. So I thought
Yeah.
that was good, really good to learn.
Yep.
So that would be a really good starting thing. Obviously, do not get into the industry to jump on the gravy train.
Yep.
I talk about career-based estate agents, ones which have decided this is the long-term career for them.
Yep.
Yes, the market runs hot sometimes.
Yep.
We see agents come out of nowhere and just jump into the industry.
Yep.
They tend to do well a little bit quicker, but guess what? They're the first out
Yeah.
when the market gets tough. Well, that's not a career real estate agent. They've got the commission breath. They're there for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
So don't be that person.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
110%. And I'm not good at physical marathons, but
Neither.
I'm good at
Or sprint.
or sprinting. Actually, anything physical.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But for me is focus on the client's wants before your own.
Yep.
Because there comes a point in your career where a client will turn to you and say, Dan, what do you think?
Yep.
Those moments are very important
Yeah.
because they need to see that you're not making the decisions for you, you're making them for them.
Yeah.
And they're the pinnacle moments which will create referral business.
Yeah.
Another big thing is don't forget about who gave you opportunity.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I remember my very first listing when I was young.
Yep.
I believe it was Ken and Irene.
Yep.
They were in Mount Martha and they knew it was my first sale.
Yeah. Okay then.
How risky is that? They're giving it to someone who says they've got the tools
Yep.
and the energy.
This
and
is
the
your first
enthusiasm.
sale.
My very first sale, my very first listing.
What was that like for you? Like, how did that feel when you were like, okay, you had done like the interview, and they're like, okay, Dan, we're going to go with you. We were like, fuck.
I was excited and then I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So it was non-refined energy. My energy was just bouncing off the wall. And
Yep.
I guess that was electric, but also I had to bring it into refinement. But that was so important to me. And I kept such a long-term relationship with these guys and they
Yep.
moved interstate. But don't forget that when you have a sale, they pay you a substantial amount of money.
Yep.
Well, there's nothing wrong with picking up the phone 3 months after settlement and going, guys, how are you going?
Yeah.
They go like, what?
Yeah.
We're hearing from the real estate agent again. They kind of got what they wanted.
Yeah.
Well, I've now sold this year 8, 9 or 10 properties for people who previously sold with me.
Yeah.
Well, that's an amazing amount of income and remuneration
100%.
because they know that I care about them.
Yeah. And that's why I say, like going back to the very start, why I connected with Dan so much is because, like, I feel like if you're in sales, man, it's the key, bro. Like, connect with the client and then let's talk about the sale.
Correct.
Because as soon as, 20 minutes in, I was just like, because I had just had 3 other agents. Like I said, same person, different, same pitch, different people. And then Dan comes in completely different, pretty much friends. We're talking about self-development, talking about my truck. And I was just like, he's got the job, man. Like, come on,
Well, and it's because we focus on what's most important first. So I think also don't look at what real estate looks like from the outside.
Yep.
I think inside is hard work, determination, grit. You have to build a really thick skin because you will be judged as a person. And I think that's actually something I've really struggled with for a long time. And I think I still have moments of weakness where I go, well, I actually had your best interests at heart.
Yep.
I worked really hard for that. And then maybe they put you in the salesperson category. And I think that's still really difficult as a young person to grapple with. And I know that there are young people in this industry, which are great people, but they are judged. Just like I would argue that salespeople are poorly judged in terms of car sales.
Yep.
Well, I mean, the people I've bought my cars off in the past are beautiful people. They know about me.
Yep.
They ask about my wife. They know my dog's name. They care about me.
Yep.
And I don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have particularly the right car.
Yeah.
Like I just want to talk to them.
Yeah.
So
Connection, man.
They keep engaging me back.
Yep.
And I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, connection is everything. Yeah, and that's what I've like for myself. Like I was saying, working on sales is to develop that craft. To really connect. I'm usually pretty good at it, but it's just always. I always say a business that just continues to innovate is a successful business. You know, because you see like a mechanic. I don't know why he said mechanic, but let's just say mechanic. You see them in the same shop, same thing, doing the same thing, earning the same amount of money. The prices stay the same. Nothing changes, and it's like that for years. It's pretty much like that the entirety of their life.
Correct.
But when you have businesses like mine, like you yourself, who are also innovating themselves personally, then the business will come up with you.
Correct.
And that's why I want to talk about sales, because obviously it is a skill, it is a craft you have to develop. Like even just sitting down and talking with a client. Like you're talking to a stranger, man, and you're trying to connect, and every human on this planet has different personalities. You'll go to that client and they're just like, what footy club do you go for? And I'm like looking around like, because I don't go for footy. If I see Bombers, I'm like, the Bombers, these little, but like if you're not experiencing, you're not developing that craft.
100%.
Oh, sorry, it's just my private jet.
Yeah, she's that's Tony, your wife.
Yeah. I'll come overseas.
She's landing.
But if you're not developing that craft and becoming better at that, then then like the people like yourself who are developing their sales craft and their skills, they're just going to outdo you, man.
Absolutely, and the industry changes. I actually think mechanical or the automotive industry is a perfect example because they used to service Ford Falcons and Holdens.
Yep.
Well, what about the Tesla which rolls in now?
Yeah.
What about the guy who wants a truck jacked up and wants all the lights and all of these mechanics on it? What about the person who wants the smooth, refined everything changes.
Innovation.
So I think if you're still in the category of just pulling I'm going to embarrass myself here, but the oil filter out or the oil or the air conditioning filters, I mean, gone are the days of just doing a service like that. I mean, when Audi gives me a service sheet, there's like 120 tick boxes.
Yeah.
They're checking technology. They're checking everything. They're checking the massage seats. They're doing everything. Imagine that person 20 years ago trying to navigate that list of 120 things.
100%, because the world's innovating. We're progressing. Now we're into electric cars. Like we're not picking up mechanic. No. It's just happens to be a good example.
Yes.
But if you're just like, no one's getting a car service. It's just because people have innovated cars, It's all tech, computers and stuff like that. So, and that's like I always say, I refer to business as like your business is you, It's a reflection of who you are. If you're always innovating yourself, your business is just going to follow with you, you know? So
You're exactly right.
do you go to like any type of like conferences, business conferences and stuff like that? Like, is there people like you've learned from, you know, like for myself, I've been looking at Andy Elliott and stuff
Yeah,
stuff
nice.
like that, you know, Tony Robbins and stuff like that. Is there people like that you've, you know, grabbed gems from what they have to do?
I would say personally and professionally, a lot of different avenues.
Yeah.
Like, yes, people within. So at the start of my career, I focused very heavily on the people within my career, which I
Yep.
think was good for my internal learning about this industry.
Yep.
Now I tend to grab onto people externally from my career,
Yep.
which either grow businesses or learn how to, you know, manifest and learn how to do the actions which are in line with your goals.
Yep.
So like Tony Robbins, I mean, I'm wearing one of his caps right now because I went, I did during COVID, which was a tough time for everyone.
100%. Yeah.
I locked down and did a program called Unleash the Power Within.
I think I remember that.
Oh,
I
man.
think we were talking about that.
It was life-changing.
Yeah.
For me, we shut all the blinds in our living area for 4 days. 4 days of full immersion. We're talking about 18-hour days where we're up early, we're interacting. I mean, incredible. He dealt with the producer of Zoom and he created this 360 arena, which he stood in the middle of, and he had thousands of people, which he could just go, I want to speak to you. He actually pulled one of my friends up.
Oh,
One of
really?
my friends, because what we did it as a friendship group, and an incredible mortgage broker, Amy Tennant, she got pulled out and got to speak to Tony Robbins out of thousands of people.
Oh, really?
And-
Amy. Oh, we brought through her.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
so
Mornington, yeah.
there might have been dealings that you've had, but she got to speak to him, and they sent out packs, and we would sit down for hours, and would be jumping, would be listening, and we broke out into rooms of 4 or 5 people. And like I come from a childhood which I found a little bit challenging for me, and weirdly I got connected with this person which came from a really tough childhood.
Yeah.
I'm not a too emotional guy, but here I'm crying
Yeah.
with someone who has had such a tough childhood.
Yeah.
And we learn from each other. Like these experiences, you've got to peel back the layers sometimes and realize that it's not just about how many sales you do. Like, you've got to connect with people. We're talking about that a lot today. But like I learned a lot from that. I encourage anyone to do self-development.
Yep.
But also what I think I did really well when I was young, I looked at who are the people that I want to craft my business off.
Yep.
Those are the people, strangely, which have to have time. They've got no time, but they give you time.
Yeah.
And they gave me time. They went and allowed me to hang out with them.
Yeah.
They allowed me to learn off them. And these people were not in my business.
Yeah.
It helped me a lot.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny you say that because I've learned a lot from other people's businesses that are in completely different industries, you know, like sales,
Correct.
real estate and stuff like that. I really draw off their sales, you know, even though I'm in like a trade, I love to just draw off different people's resources, you know, and industries and stuff like that. So yeah, self-development's key, man. I feel like, yeah, like I say, people who are self-developing, and they're just going to outdo everyone, man. It's just unfortunately how it goes. So if you are any industry you're watching is like self-development, man, develop your craft, whatever industry you're in, real estate, trade, makeup, mechanic, develop it, man, and become the best at it. And that's what I inspired to be. I'm like, if I can be the best, that's why I only do the peninsula. If I can be the best roofing industry on the peninsula, I know the sales will come, you know, and I will. Like, I'm super competitive. I'll look up all my competitors that they're like,
Yeah.
oh, no one's doing anything. No one's doing. Okay, I'm the only one doing anything. I'm going to stand out and I'll develop it.
And they're going to chase you.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about your earnings, man. What's your biggest way? Because you're like, how you get your pays, right? It's just for people
Yeah,
who really want
yeah.
to get into industry. You're very, because you've obviously got to wait for the homes to sell, you know, before you get paid, which can be a long wait, you know, sometimes. Like, what's the longest you've had to wait for like a sale?
There's been 6-month settlements where
Fuck.
I mean, what's the old saying? Paying it forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly that. So I think in the real estate industry, there's a lot of different ways to be paid.
Yep,
Most real estate agents have what's called a retainer,
yep,
which gives them some comfort, right? I encourage agents to get off a retainer as quickly as you can.
yep,
Because you have more ability to secure a larger portion of the pie, because
Yep.
then you're only purely profitable for your business owner.
okay,
So a retainer is an income which is building up, but then when you get a commission,
yep,
the commission pays off the retainer first back
Yep.
to the business and then gives you whatever the remuneration is. I started on a retainer. All people start on retainer. If you have a glamorous outlook of what a retainer is, you're going to be shocked.
Yeah.
Because it is absolutely base minimum income.
Okay.
It is purely just about making sure that you are living and breathing
Yep.
and buying the toast and the baked beans.
Yeah. So you're just living.
You're just living. But it gives a protection layer for ones which want to get into the industry.
Okay.
The moment you get off a retainer, you're able to keep a larger percentage typically
Okay.
and negotiate with your principal or negotiate with whoever is involved.
Yep.
Now, I've been a commission-only real estate agent for, 6-7 years plus,
Okay.
which means that the buck stops with me. I have outgoings
Yep.
like every other person.
Yeah. You have your own life.
A business, leisure, homes, whatever it is. And I know that typically my income will finish, stop at the end of every 3 months,
Okay.
unless I'm doing all the actions within that 3 months to produce the following 3 months.
Yeah. So you have to anticipate as well. So you know, like,
Insanely.
okay, you can only assume, okay, this job, these jobs are jobs. These homes are gonna settle around this time. So that would be fucking stressful, man, to prepare for that. Like, so
Correct.
I'm about to go probably 3, maybe 6 months without any income. So you've got to plan for that. But obviously,
So
you need a bit of knowledge to obviously prepare for that. Like, you can't be like,
Correct.
get to your 3 month, get all this commission, bang, happy days, holiday season, and then you're looking at the figures and you're like,
yes.
we're not getting paid for another 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like naturally as you sell more, the consistency around your frequency of payment
Yep.
will happen. But yes, commission only agents typically will have a 3 month window before they are running out, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, that creates a level of sheer motivation that every single day I have to make the phone calls, I have to connect with the right people, I have to do the right thing to ensure that I also have a career which is going to be long lasting.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever want to find myself in a position where I've maybe been slack for a period of time and we can't pay the bills.
Yeah.
Or we can't do the things for the clients, or we can't do what we need to do, or we cut back on the marketing.
Yep.
Because and I know being in business, in the hardest times you have to increase your marketing.
Yeah.
You have to spend more, and they're the hardest times. But
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
it's insane. But I encourage anyone out there who is looking at taking risks,
Yep.
take little nibbles, bigger chunks, bigger bites, and then you're going to be like a mammoth taking a massive bite because
Yep.
the appetite for risk increases.
Yeah.
But you feel more willing.
Yeah.
I never used to be a risk taker. I actually went through a period in my career where I think I was good at what I did, but I
Yep.
stopped learning,
Yep.
which prompted then the change in business. And I also lowered my marketing output, and then I was like, oh, this isn't me. And then because there was this big gap between taking a risk here and a risk here, I started becoming fearful about taking risk. And now I feel bulletproof.
Yeah. Naturally, people,
Yeah.
when it comes to risk, they naturally kind of shy away from it.
Correct.
But once you get into it, and obviously you've learned, is when you do take the risk and you do reap a reward, you kind of get like, I don't know, maybe
It's like a
it's just
dopamine
me.
hit.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, mate.
Yes.
You just kind of want to, like now me, when it comes to a situation with the business, just like, this is a big risk. I'm like, let's do it. Let's not only do it, let's double it.
Correct.
He's like, we could lose it all. I was like, that's the joy.
Absolutely. But I also really encourage people, and I struggle with this from time to time. You have to find moments of being really grateful and really humble, and also looking back at the things you have now, the things that you actually dreamed of when you were young.
Yeah.
Everything I have now, which yes, might today feel less important to me than what it did when I was 18.
Yep.
I dreamed of this stuff.
Yeah.
One thing, my wife used to wonder, because my job was to put the bins out.
Yep.
She would always put them out the front. I'd grab the stuff off the kitchen bench late at night, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, I'd go put the bins out. She'd go, why do you take so long to put the bins out? I'm like, I actually never told her until recently. I'd just turn around, I'd stand on the street, and I'd look back at the house.
That you have, yeah.
And I'd just go, Dan, you dreamed of this.
Fuck, yeah, that's good.
And the stars would be out and all of this. And I know it sounds silly. I still do that today. And I'm still very grateful for it. Because if I'm not,
Yeah.
then what are we doing it for?
Fuck, yeah.
Like,
That's powerful, man.
it actually is really important to me to do those things from time to time.
But quickly, I want to stay on that topic, but I quickly want to switch to another one. Like, what was your upbringing like? Were you like a good upbringing? Like, were you middle class, lower class, upper class? Like, what was your upbringing like?
So parents both being chefs are certainly not high income.
Yep.
I think when I was about 3 or 4, parents separated.
Yeah, okay.
Certainly not the nicest separation.
Yeah.
But I think it weathers you. I mean, at the time, I didn't quite understand why. You know, I had one side of my family where I felt really loved and supported.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, that was the side of the family which didn't have the wealth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I felt like the arms were wrapped around me.
Yep.
I felt like I was supported. I felt like I could be on a cloud.
Yeah.
And then I had another side which I felt really toxic, really challenging.
Yep.
I didn't feel myself. I felt unhappy. I learned bad habits, all of these kind of things.
Yep.
And I think I'm glad in a way now. It's taken me a long time actually to work through those things personally.
Yep.
But I'm actually really glad now that I've had this upbringing because firstly, others have had it much more difficult than me.
Yep.
But it's created who I am today. I have a very thick skin. I rarely get offended.
Yep.
Right, my armor is rarely damaged.
Yeah.
Things ping off it, and I mean, you let something underneath it on occasion, but you're able to exit from that quite easily.
Yep.
So, also for anyone taking learnings out there, is don't live in the hard moments. Learn from them.
Yep.
And be thankful for them because they will reward you one day.
Yep.
Those moments will absolutely reward you.
That's powerful, man. Because I feel like a lot of my mates who are in different lines of business who have kind of had that kind of, you know, unstable, I would call it more of an unstable upbringing. Like myself, I would classify back in New Zealand, we were definitely in the poor section. I didn't have nice things at all, you know, like we were on farming, we were in the farming industry. So it was nice. Like I was surrounded by farms. That was all beautiful, but it was just like, we didn't have the fancy anything, you know. I was getting dropped off in a work truck, you know. And what made it harder for me is I also grew up in that's right. I grew up in an area that was super wealthy because farmlands is like everything back in NZ. So we were growing up in a super wealthy area, but we weren't super wealthy, you know. So I'm going to school and people are rocking up in like Range Rovers and stuff like that, you know. And I'm getting dropped off in the work ute with the dogs in the back, and I'm just like, oh, I see your dad running in. And I hated it, man. I hated it, you know. And that was for a majority of my life before I came to Australia, you know. So, and I think when you do go through those unshaky, you know, kind of shaky upbringings, you do become more grateful when you do have nice things, you know, when you get to a point in life. Like, I do, man. Every time I jump in my car, I'm just like grateful, you know, like, fuck. Like, I would get dropped off in a tractor, dude.
Correct.
You know?
And this is what I think a lot of people don't quite understand is I think cars can very easily be misperceived as flaunting wealth.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I live in my car.
Yeah.
I'm always in my car. I mean, that people don't judge you when you have a really nice office.
Yeah.
Well, the car's the office too. Like we're in there so often. So, but also you've got to reward yourself.
Yeah.
Because nothing's ever guaranteed in life, and I think you don't know how long your journey is on this planet.
No.
So you might as well enjoy some of the things which you've worked hard for.
Yeah. And what's grateful, man, is just like we're still going. Like life's still, anything could happen, man. Well, they could drop bombs and the whole world's done dusted, you know.
Correct.
But we're still able to wake up. You know, that's why I love people who are grateful, and I encourage people to be more grateful, man, is because you can wake up, and if you just think about that, oh, I'm grateful to even just be alive and go and do my business and make this sell. Life's just good, you know?
Correct.
And you get to appreciate your hard work a bit more. Like you have those people who are brought up, you know, kind of got everything, they still have everything, and they just become, you know, desensitized to all that stuff.
Perfect word. And I think for anyone out there trying to figure out how to be grateful or practice some gratitude, it doesn't have to come in the ways, because I think gratitude can be looked at as like hoodoo sometimes. No, you don't have to be sitting with your legs crossed on a beach listening to meditation music.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can just appreciate a moment when you're putting the rubbish out.
Yeah.
Like what I do. Or I actually really connected for a long time with doing float tanks.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever done a float tank. It's like a high density salt water and you're
Oh,
enclosed.
you were talking to me about that, yeah.
And the first time I did it, because I think somebody gave me like a voucher, I hated it. I'm bouncing off the walls, I'm floating, I'm irritated, I hated it. But I had 3.
Yeah, okay.
So I did one, I was like, I'm just going to do it again. Second one, I slept, the whole thing, floating. I dreamed of my childhood. I dreamed of my dad. I dreamed of like my family.
Yep.
And I hopped out of there. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like, this is incredible. The next, I was like aspirational, and I was practicing like certain business things, and I was thinking to myself how I could grow business. Do whatever fits you.
Yeah.
Could be walking your dog.
Yeah. I have that moments like usually when it's like, because the weather's been really good. So at nighttime, like there's no clouds in the sky. So because I'm on a little bit of acreage, the stars light up, man.
But yeah.
So the last couple of days I've been getting the kids down. 3 kids, man. Crazy. My
Yeah.
house is literally
a
alive.
party.
It's alive
Yeah.
till they go down, plus 2 dogs and stuff. So I get them all down, and I was walking outside. I think I was just grabbing something for the car for the podcast today. And I looked up and I'm just like, fuck, this is nice. And I was out there for like
Yeah.
half an hour, man, just looking at
Yeah.
the stars, just like, and then looking at, once you start to find a bit of peace, you start looking around like, fuck, this is mid, Well, fuck,
We're
we're
very
living
lucky.
life. We're living life, man. So is there anything I want you to, anyone listening, man, they want to get into real estate? What's your advice for people wanting to get into your industry? Preferably not around Langwarrin. No.
Well, yeah, come learn. So, look, there's some good people actually which have started in the industry in the area, which
Yep.
we're going to be challenged in time.
Yep.
I think you've said it once or twice. Never get comfortable.
Yep.
Even if you're starting to have successes,
Yep.
continue investing back into yourself, because this is an industry where the moment you hit number one, don't forget there is always people chasing you,
Yeah.
and they want to be in your position. And if you slump for a moment, or you say, because I'm number one, I don't need to invest in that anymore. It's like, I mean, people have heard this all the time, like Coca-Cola, for example. I mean, they probably don't need to promote themselves very much, but they do. They spend billions of dollars every year.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
On promoting themselves and changing their products and learning from what their clients do. But I mean, we know Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to tell me about Coca-Cola, but it's like they continue putting it out there. So I think for me, one, be prepared to work hard.
Yep.
Be prepared to put other people's thoughts and feelings in front of your own.
Yep.
Because I think that's twisted at the start.
Yep.
Do not get into this industry if you have a poor ethical stance in terms of like chasing finances or putting money over people, because I think you'll be found out straight away.
Yeah.
And be prepared to be challenged and tested on everything you know about yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
But then you'll get to look back on a long career and say, well, I improved myself as a person. I impacted a lot of people in times of need, and constantly learn. Just continue benefiting your skill set, because
Yeah.
this is an industry which I think will be disrupted.
Yep.
It already is being disrupted. I mean, I'm getting phone calls right now, left, right, and center about AI. Well,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not a supporter. I'm certainly a supporter of social presence.
Yep.
But I'm getting all these calls from people saying, let's implement AI into your business. You'll be amazed at how amazing this virtual person can have a conversation with your client. Whoa. Well, for me, it's
Easy.
like,
Yeah.
like, I mean, we're happy to implement certain AI products in the back end.
Yeah.
But I mean, then why are we here?
Yeah.
We're not going to be supporting our own jobs getting out of the industry, and
Yep.
also a lack of connection.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just know yourself, know what you stand for, and just believe strongly in yourself, because you have to compete really fiercely
Yep.
and show people that you're the right person, but do it in a positive way, not an arrogant way.
Yeah. I like that how you're saying, like, if you are coming in without the right intentions, or because you are dealing with people, man, and news will travel very fast. If you're in there for the money, you're gonna stand out. It's just like, yeah, you'll definitely come in, make your money and stuff like that. But like we were saying, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You'll earn your money for this, but the people who are dedicated to it, they're just going to keep on earning and out earning you.
And do you want money, or do you want money and fulfillment?
Yeah.
Well, fulfillment's really important, and I've had struggles in my life where, yeah, we've been financially successful, but I've had very little fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I think that's been something which we've worked on to make sure that we put more into the client to ensure that we receive also our own personal fulfillment out
Yeah.
of it. Because you can only do something for so long chasing certain things.
Yeah. I love that, man. Like, I love when a client like messages like, hey, Jay, like the guys were good today. I appreciate your guys'
the
company. I'm just like, man, that goes a long way,
It's the best.
And it's just like, I mean, it's the worst. It goes the worst way when you get like a bad review, like, oh, mate, this was missed. You're just like, Well, I believe like if you really invest into your business, you take that stuff personally, you know.
Yes.
Like I take it as like I'm calling them up, like what happened, you know, really involved with some people out here, and that's probably why some businesses don't last. Is they're like, who the hell are you talking to, mate? What the you know?
And they fight back.
Yeah, and that's
No.
what I guess he's saying about having a thick skin. If someone comes in here and you're trying to make a sale and they go, oh, sorry, mate, you know, some people are brutally honest, you know, and they'll be like, sorry, you're just not the type of person for us. And you go, well, why not, mate? You know, and you let it get to you, you're just going to fall off, man. It's just going to, that's why I say business will chew you up and
Correct.
spit you out, you know, if you're not.
But also recognize you can't be the person for everyone.
Yeah,
And you will start to attract the people who want you.
yeah,
And you'll start to detract the people who don't want you.
Yeah.
Or the people who will challenge you. And I think this is what's most difficult at the start. I feel I was lucky I started in a really hard marketplace.
yeah, okay.
You don't really decide when you start, right? You might turn 18, 19, 20. You want to get into the industry. It is what it is. The marketplace will be that. But I was lucky I started in Mount Martha.
Yeah.
It was low turnover.
Yeah.
It was high timer market. You would have a property list here and it would sell here. There would be challenges left, right, and center. And I feel really blessed that was my start.
Yeah.
Because if I made it through the other end of that, everything was going to be easier.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, I would say really challenge yourself and make sure you're working for somebody else's best interest, not your own.
Yeah, okay. This month, these last couple of months looks like it's been a busy month for you. Yeah. Because I've been seeing you guys pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
Like my kids' daycare, it's, you know, I'm not going to say where it is, but like the road I take to get out, I'm like 1, 2, drive down the road, 3, 4.
Yes.
So obviously it's been a big month in sales. Like what's your busiest sales month you've had this year actually?
So this year is actually my biggest sales month of 15 years.
To be in this industry for 15 years.
Yeah.
And this is, yeah.
So I mean, I obviously was nervous about changing
Yep.
my role. I was nervous about becoming a business owner. I was nervous about curating a brand in an area which hadn't seen it.
Yep.
However, we've had already personal accolades. So last month and the month before we were half a sale away from our biggest month in my whole career. And I thought we were so close. How could we back it up?
Yeah.
And then we backed it up and we did one more than our biggest sale. Yeah, so in the last 12 months being a part of Area Specialist, we've had some personal accolades and
Yep.
some really big achievements. I mean, we had an awards night, which I was firstly thrilled to see Heron, who works with me, achieve in our national network of over, I think, 250 people.
Yeah.
She was the best support team member out of anyone in the whole national
I
brand.
saw that. Yeah, I saw that on your socials.
It was so good. I really enjoyed seeing that more than my own award, which we received. Heron and I were part of the Pinnacle tier, which is high performance within our industry, but also we achieved the top salesperson for a boutique team, which is a team of 2 or less.
Yep.
When there are certainly teams in our network which have 3 or 4 people. But I think in terms of like personal achievements, last month was our biggest month in 15 years.
Yep.
I think we had transacted 14 or 15 properties with the month before we had transacted 11.
Yeah, okay.
So we transacted something like 25 plus properties
Yep.
in a period of 2 months, which
That's huge.
based upon what I was telling you earlier,
Yep.
is a career for most real estate agents. And I don't say that to be arrogant. I mean, I'm so proud of what we've achieved
Yeah.
and how many people we've impacted in that time.
Yeah.
And of course, in a couple of months, we'll see the remuneration from that, which is cool.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer in rewarding your success and making sure that you feel like you don't just jump on to the next month. So we booked a trip to Japan. We're going to
Yeah,
go
we're
to,
talking about
to
that,
Japan
yeah.
for a couple of weeks. And certainly excited to see a different culture. But for me, I do remember I got in early the last day of last month, which is the day we wrote that sale, which got us to be our biggest month.
Yeah.
And I remember writing it on the board and no one was in, and I just sat there, and it's weird, just I'm staring at a whiteboard, but I'm going like, the big decision you made 12 months ago
Yep.
is servicing you now.
Yeah.
You were brave, you did it.
Yeah.
And it's not about the income, it was just like, I bloody did it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're so proud of ourselves, and I think people are not proud of themselves enough, and
Yeah.
we're really proud of what
You have to
we've
pat
achieved.
yourself on the back sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when you take a big risk like that. Like even just going out and starting your own firm, business, whatever, it takes It is a big leap, man. Like
It's scary.
It is, especially when you have like, okay, like going back when I was working for someone, I had it so good, man. I was getting paid the same day every week, good pay. I could go take a holiday. I could go do this. I could go do that. And then when you're making a leap that you know is going to be shit for a while until you actually get to the, the fruit of it all. Yeah, it is a big, it's a big risk people take, but is it worth it? Yes, it is.
Of course it is.
100% it's worth it. And it's showing now. It's definitely showing.
And the success isn't like what we've said a few times, financial. You actually realize what you can achieve.
Yeah.
And you also constantly challenge yourself every day, and through challenges you get better. And I think now I have a better appetite for risk, and I have a better appetite for being brave. And when the opportunity comes to me, you say yes more than you say no. So it actually changes your whole life.
Yeah.
So it's changed me a lot as a person. Definitely.
You know what that sounds like? Success.
100%. And success is different to everyone. And I think I'm finding my niche of what that looks like.
Yeah. And that does sound like a business that's, if you've got that mindset already, the business, the wealth, the success, it's bound to come.
Correct.
It's bound to come.
Well, we've got big ambition. We want to be seen by more people.
Yep.
We've got more people which are being hired at the moment, more people coming on, more areas which are going to be, which are untapped right now by our business. And I say, watch this space.
Yeah, yeah. Because once you get into those, I mean, I see your guys present in Langwarren. You can't, like, literally, as soon as I come out of off Robinson's Road and start going towards Langy, there's a sign right there. I'm like, oh, this is Dan's Hood.
Yes.
Bit of chicken.
And it's compounding, and we love seeing it too. And our clients now get the most amount of confidence seeing that social proof that we're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got told one thing early in my career: a for sale sign is the sign of your success or failure.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's your failure until the sold sticker's up.
Yeah.
You haven't done your job.
Yeah. It's not done until it's done.
And it's for everyone to see.
Yeah.
So they know if it's working or not.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it is. It shows it is. Yeah. My man, before we wrap this thing up, I got my questions. I love my questions. Some of them good, some of them I don't know. So we'll see how we go. So if you're an investor, right? I'm asking this because you're in the real estate. Commercial or domestic properties, what's the best industry to invest your money into when it comes to borrowing property?
I'm going to stick with what I know, which is residential. However, even though I have an interest in getting into commercial, and there's obviously a lot of benefits to that, but I think firstly, establish what you want and what you require, which would be having good meetings with the financial people in your life, like financial advisors, your brokers, people which are there to ensure that your financial success is fruitful.
Yep.
For me, we've invested in property.
Yep.
We've invested in a diverse product of property, property which doesn't have things like owner's corporation. That's an additional tax or an additional outlay on the year, which you don't necessarily need.
Is that like a block of units or something like that?
Yeah. Where there will be additional insurances or property maintenance and things like that, which you need to pay for. I mean, if you can secure the old saying, the best street and the worst property.
Yep.
I mean, if you've got a skill set to update or add capital, especially in downward trending marketplaces, is very good.
Yep.
Sadly, Victoria and Melbourne has been an underperforming market for the last couple of years.
Okay.
Whilst the rest of Australia has been having steady or rapid growth.
Yeah.
Like Queensland, Adelaide, Brisbane, these kind of areas have been extremely fruitful. However, we know that Melbourne will bounce back. So for me, I like to have a balanced portfolio. What I mean by that is properties which, yes, have a reasonable capital growth component.
Yep.
So ensure that you have a little bit of underpinned land.
Yep.
I like properties which are not high maintenance.
Yep.
Because I don't have the time to invest into them.
Yeah.
So we can forget about them. And then something which has a reasonably healthy rental yield, which is what your purchase price is to what you're returning per week.
Okay.
So then it's balanced.
Yeah.
So for me, our properties, yes, are improving in value, but they might not quite be improving as much in value as the high investment in Richmond, which you lose money on every week, every month, every year.
Yep.
When you hit tough times, those properties are hard to keep.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly outlaying. When we hit tough times, well, our properties mostly perform themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say look at diverse products and know what you want.
Nice. That's for me, by the way. I'll write that one down. So, if you could do any other line of work, what would it be?
Oh, this is really interesting. There's probably two things which come to mind. I'm an avid racer.
Yeah, I see
And when
you.
I say
Yeah.
car racing, like
Formula Ones,
I would
F1s
love,
and stuff.
Yeah. So we got the tickets for next year already.
Oh, they're the best, aren't they?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, probably two things. One would be becoming a race car driver, as cliched as that sounds, but I love it. Like, I've got a small simulator at home. I want to buy something quite impressive because I recognize buying the car, getting it on track, buying the wheels, buying the tires, buying the brakes. I mean, that's an expensive activity when you can just buy a simulator at home. So I do some racing. The other one would be I really enjoy service.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the hotel and hospitality industry.
Yeah, okay.
So for me, I'd love to look after distinguished guests.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, not necessarily a butler, but imagine if you're a high-profile guest
Yeah.
and you have one point of contact,
Yeah.
which does everything for you.
Yeah, you see those in like those like Miami, those big, fancy restaurants.
Yeah, but restaurants or hotels, and you know what? If someone's coming to me and saying, Dan, I love Japanese food.
Yeah.
I love my nice cars. I want to get over there as well and see the Bellarine Peninsula. I would love to curate plans for people about getting the helicopters to pick them up, sending them to the nice restaurants, getting them behind the scenes at shows.
Yeah.
To me, because I love to live a little bit of that.
Yeah, I love that too.
So that would be really exciting. And then I'd see the personal satisfaction which they're getting from the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I've always thought like hotel management or looking after distinguished guests.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying. Like, I love that too because I'm organising our end of year work breakup, which is going to be
saw
epic,
that.
man.
Yes.
I've pumped a lot of money into it, but it's more so for me. It's not like, look, this is what I've done. I just can't wait to see when my team sees what we've done, you know, and we're going full on.
You're rewarding your people.
Oh, dude, we're going full on this year. Tony's like, you know, we could just go to the pub. I was like, no, there's no pub here.
Yes.
Just small one. What's the key to communicating with a stranger?
That's a really good one. I'm going to say get on their level as quickly as you can.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Leave the bravado at the front door. Ask questions.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to say ask questions because you only learn through asking about others, not telling them what information you have.
Yep.
So I like to have a very question-based because I meet a lot of people which I don't know.
Yep.
And the sooner I learn about them is the sooner I can cater myself for them.
Nice.
And to them.
Write that one down for me as well. No. Here's one. Audi or Mercedes?
I think you know the answer for that. So I think my wife has an Audi, I have an Audi, my previous car was an Audi, my previous car to that was an Audi, and my previous car to that was an Audi.
So maybe an Audi.
It could be Audi, yes.
I love Audis. Actually, since
They're not as loud.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I've always been into muscle cars, right? So I like my V8s. The only reason why I bought that AMG is because I love my muscle cars, but I still wanted something nice, you know? I still wanted something, you know? I didn't want to buy like a Camaro and every morning, bump, 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 you know what I mean? It's just...
And you piss off the neighbour.
Yeah, it just wasn't practical, but I love my V8s, man. That's why I got that car. But since I've had that car, and I've driven a few Audis with a few of my mates, I'm like, I don't know, man. Audi's looking good over here.
I think you've nailed it. Mercedes has always had that rugged energy.
Yeah.
And Audi wants to probably be the fast performer around the corner or up the Alpines and
Yeah.
things like that, when Mercedes in a straight line is outrageous.
I'd love an Audi, you know, going up to like the Danny Ranges.
Amazing.
All-wheel drive.
Incredible.
Yeah. But that's why I kind of went with that AMG, because like I can switch it all off and it doesn't sound like bum bum bum.
And it's comfort.
Yeah, it's really nice, comfort, and then I can switch it all on and just still hear a V8, you know. So, all right, Audi. I'll answer this one as well. What's the funniest thing you've done to make a sale?
Oh God. Oh, all right. I'm like working through the Rolodex of things. So the funniest thing I've done to make a sale.
Well, it doesn't have to be funniest, but what's like the
most unique?
Yeah, unique way.
Look, I've driven some fair distances to make sales.
Yeah.
I've arrived at some strange places.
Yeah.
But I think the most unique, goodness, I'm going to say I remember once driving to the other side of the city, actually.
Yeah.
I think it was like a 3-hour drive. Clients had young kids. And I remember walking into their house and there were dogs and there were cats and there were kids and I was wearing nice stuff.
Yeah.
And like the dogs are jumping on me and stuff like that. But I knew that we had to get the deal done.
Yeah.
And I knew at that time we didn't really have like all of this digital signing services where I didn't need to do it. But I also needed to get the deal across the line.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily think that's funny, but I think like the extra efforts,
100%.
were definitely there. So I think I'm prepared to do that. But you know, I'm going to kick myself, Jay, after this question because I'm going to leave and I'm going to think about something.
That's all right.
And I think it's going to be great. And I'm not delivered it here today, but let me round back to that one.
Text it through to me. Text it through to me. Because, my funniest one, man, is I went in. It was a big job, right? But it was just some Aussie guy. He was just retired. Obviously, he must have been fly in or fly out, FIFO or something, but pretty high up. So he had money, man. Anyways, it was my last job for the day, and I got there like 3:00. And he was loved his beer, man, And he's like, mate, come have a beer with me. But I was quoting for I think it was like $100,000 job, man, And I was
Big
just
job.
like, I was like, you know what? If he goes with me, I'm going to get, I'm going to have some beers with him.
Yes.
Anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm sitting there like, oh, dude, how am I going to get home?
Yes.
Now I'm actually like, I'm proper drunk, right? And we're just talking and yapping and yarning. And I'm not a big drinker, like unless I go to a restaurant, I love my red wines and stuff like that. So I'm forcing these beers down just to make the bloody sale. And I'm leaving, right? I drove, fucking, no, do not do this, but it's just a story, Hopefully the police aren't watching.
Yes.
Good thing I was like 2 minutes down the road. So I drove back to the factory and I got to the factory. I'm just plastered. He calls me that, like, literally as soon as I got back, he's like, mate, thanks for the company. He sounds super sober. So I'm like, he obviously does this every day. He's like, we're going to do the job. All right, I'll send it through.
Amazing.
And I'm sitting there drunk like, what the fuck just happened, just to win this bloody job.
But you might not have won it.
Yeah.
And I think now that I'm thinking about it, and I don't like to say this, but I lost my license once.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah, and I lost it for 6 months. And
Yeah.
I mean, imagine doing my role, and I had 6 months worth of funny deals, right?
Yeah.
And I remember arriving at people's houses, and I'd ask the Uber to drop me off next door or 2 doors down, and I'd walk up. And for whatever reason, for that 6 months, everyone walked me out to my car, but I had no car. So I used to always say to people, they go, damn, where's your car? And I'd just have to be real.
Yeah.
And I'd just have to tell them, and I'd say I lost my license and this is what happens, but I promise you that I'll be here on time. I'll never miss a date. And I spent like $3,500 on Ubers for like 6 months. And my EA at the time, which was a legend, drove me around a lot. But I learned that it became actually more relatable because people went, oh, Dan, I did that once. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But I weirdly became more productive. The first couple of Uber rides, I'd talk to the Uber driver. But then after a month, I was like, sorry, Uber driver, I'm sitting in the back, I'm on the phone like I'm being productive.
Yeah.
But I had moments where I was leaving the house, I was saying goodbye to people,
Yeah.
and it pours down raining. I'm looking in the Ubers, 8 minutes off, and I'm walking with my bag, my shoes, my suit on, down in the rain in Langwarrin.
Yeah.
Peak cars are driving past, thinking, "Who is this?" And I'm
Guy in a
saturated.
suit in the rain. Oh,
That-
dude, I love that.
That humbled me.
That's the story,
really
man.
quickly,
Yeah.
because I was like, "Get here, Uber now."
Hurry up, yeah. And it's happening in typical Melbourne, yeah. It would be.
Typical Melbourne.
And when it rains. So it's probably
I
like
learn a lot. I
that's-
learn a lot from that.
Man, I fucking love those stories, eh? Because when I started my business, my mate Cheyenne, he had a little Honda Civic, and this is when I was
Yes.
a little green one, and I was literally for my first couple of jobs doing it out of his Honda Civic. I was like, bro, just reverse up. We found this ladder that like could, be this big but shape up, man. And I was doing the whole business. I'm like, oh, just go park down the road, man. And that's what I was doing. I was writing receipts up on papers. I remember one of my best mates, hopefully watching this, he'll remember, is the guy's like, can you do a receipt? And Shy's like, oh, I know how to do a receipt. And he gave it to me. I'm just like, I think we even spelt it wrong and gave it to him. Like, oh, thanks, mate. But those are the times, man,
100%.
You can think back, now that you've got the car and now you're established and, everything's good, you can be like, fuck, those times.
Those
man.
are the moments which create the gem or the business which you've done today because you've worked through the hard times.
Yeah,
For sure.
100%. Love that. What's your favorite type of music?
Oh man, I've got an eclectic list of music, but I'm just going to go to who has been with me from the start.
Yeah.
50 Cent.
Yeah.
Man, like I can appreciate all different types of music, pop, hip hop, rap, some pretty heavy stuff, some not so heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember this social media ad hit me about 50 Cent's last lap tour around the world.
Yeah, okay.
And I'd never seen him. I remember like there was a really pinnacle moment where my dad, like 50 Cent's albums were like MA 15 plus. You couldn't buy them.
Yeah.
And I said to my dad, please, can you buy me this? And he made a deal with me. He bought me his album, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Yeah, I love that album.
It's still one of the best. And Dad said, you can listen to it in your room and you're not to say any of those words outside of the house.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, yep, done. We'll make the deal. And I went to about a year and a half ago, his last lap tour.
Yeah.
And mate, I would have been like, I felt like I was 15.
Yeah.
My wife is standing there. She was vibing it still, even though it wasn't really her music.
Yeah.
And I was unleashing for like 2.5
dude,
hours.
50 goes off, man.
He is mad. But I also really like that, yes, he'd gone through diversity. Yes, he'd come from a really tough place.
Yeah, he got shot, nearly died on the
8
table.
times, nearly died on the table. But also, now he's a businessman.
Yeah.
He identified certain things. And one of his biggest things was he walks into a petrol station, he sees 4 or 5 different bottles of water, and one is $5 and one is $1. He's like, this water. He sold out to Coca-Cola, I think it was.
Yeah.
For like hundreds of millions of dollars because he invested at the right time into water.
Yeah, okay. That's right. Yeah, I remember someone saying like he's banked it because he was doing like a water or supplement water and stuff, and he
So this guy doesn't just know how to sing and rap and be an incredible performer, but he's identifying products. And
whenever
stuff like
I go
that too.
to like a big quote, I play Many Men.
Oh, that went off, Many Men.
Yeah,
That's got to be one of the top songs.
Yeah, when I was driving, I blast it, man,
Yeah,
and I put on. I'm like, let's get this job. Yeah, I love
do
50,
love that.
man. I listen to 50 now. All right, here's one: electric cars or fuel operated cars?
I've not invested and will not invest in an electric car for a long time, I think.
Neither
unless
have I.
it's forced upon me, because I also think, not just because I don't like them quite as much, but I think hydrogen's probably a better and more sustainable. Like if we're really going down that track, I think hydrogen would be more sustainable.
Yep.
But yeah, I actually, there are parts of them as well. Like you walk down the street and if electric cars are reversing out of the driveway, you can't hear them.
Nah.
They're like right in front of you. So I think there's more refinement around that.
Yep.
But I think there's always, especially in Australia, the land down under,
Yeah.
we're always going to have some petrol heads.
I don't see them getting rid of V8s, you know.
They can't. And I reckon if they do, they're going to find their way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's the Aussie culture. Like, they love the, you know, wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
you know, they love their HSVs. They love, well, Holden is from Australia, isn't it?
Yeah. And well, Ford, and I think, I don't know enough about Holden now, but Ford was definitely from Australia. And I mean, Australia built a culture around those cars.
Yeah, there's a big culture around those cars. Like in the States, they don't know about like Maloos, you know, like they call them, what do they call it?
I think they're
U-trucks.
Pontiacs or GMCs over there, General Motors Group or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, so no, I love my, no, like I said, I love my V8s.
Yeah.
I've been in electric cars and they're insane.
Yeah.
Like, they'll chop my car like no
Yes.
today, and I'm just like, fuck you.
Which is embarrassing enough, but I've done a couple of Audi days and I took an Audi RS GT, which is taken over the job of the R8.
Yeah.
This beautiful R8 V10, I think it is, but then now they've got an electric.
Yeah.
It was like 0 to 100, I'm melting into my seat.
Yeah.
Going around Phillip Island, but it still was one of the cars on the day, which I just couldn't say that was the car.
Yeah.
Even though it was the fastest car.
Yeah, I love like putting the floor down and hearing that engine go, you
whole
know?
experience.
Just hearing it, you're just like,
Correct.
you do jump in an electric car and it bolts, but there's no like, it
Doesn't feel you.
It's an emotional feel, it doesn't, you know?
Correct.
It's just like, I just feel like I'm going on a train. So, last one, my man. Suit and tie or trackies?
I literally said, because my wife this morning, when I went for a walk with her, she said, Dan, you've got to find a moment to relax today. You've had a big couple of months.
Yeah.
I said, I'm really relaxed because I'm wearing my nice clothes, my comfy shoes, my shout out Daniel Ricciardo, the race car driver, Formula One, all of his merch because I love it, even though he lost his seat this year.
Yeah.
But just the comfy stuff.
So do I.
Yeah, but even though my career started with suits, ties, sometimes even three-piece,
Yeah.
it's turned into suit with no tie. Then it turned into slacks with a shirt and a blazer, no tie. Then it turned into slacks, a really nice crisp Bonds shirt and a blazer.
Yeah.
It changes.
Yeah.
But comfort.
I love
Let's go
comfort, man. Yeah. Like if I'm quoting all day, I'm usually in like some pants like this, work boots, you know, a nice jacket and stuff like quoting. But when I come home, man, I'm ripping this shit off, putting the trackies on. I even put the hoodie on, you know, get real comfy and then just really, really chill. So
I want to ask you a question then if we're talking about tracksuits.
Yeah.
I come from a little place called Ocean Grove, right?
Ocean Grove.
Ocean Grove's on the Bellarine Peninsula.
Yeah.
We have some surf brands down there, which when I came over here, people were like, what is that?
Yeah.
So we got strapper pants and we got strapper jumpers and hoodies. And it's this surf brand down there, which is really engaged in the culture of Ocean Grove.
Yeah,
and
I know
I
Strapper.
came over here and my wife's wearing Tonic. I think it's Tonic or I don't know what the brand is down here. And she's like, what are these? I'm like, what do you mean, what are these? Like, this is where I come from. I'm like representing my hood.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that back in NZ, which like there was a clothing brand or there's something which would just show that this is who you are and where you're from? Because they showed that.
Like when I was growing up, like, because I think my time when I was, how old would I have been? It would have been like, you know, Soldier Boy.
Yes.
All that stuff. So that's like, is it bathing ape? Those were the clothes back in the days where it's just like, if you had like one of the Bape hoodies that zipped right up, like, because they used to like, you know how a standard like, you know, zipped hoodie goes to here? They would go right up. If you had one of those, man, you were the G.
You knew.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it was only in like different areas, like, because I was living up in the Northland, like right up north, it was big there. But then when I would go down to like where I'm born, which is in the middle of New Zealand, they'd be like, what the hell are you wearing?
and they judge you on that. I moved from Ocean Grove and then I went to primary school at Albert Park Primary in the city.
Yeah.
I'm wearing rip curl, strapper, a billabong, all of this.
Yeah.
And I walk in and they're like, you're a loser.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, because I'm wearing surf gear. None of them wore surf gear.
What was crazy actually, like the surf brands, like like your Rip Curl Billabongs and stuff like that. Where I was born, because I was kind of like, you've got the North Island and then it goes to like a point. So I was in the middle there. So I had surf beaches left, right, and center. So there was a surf community there. If you were rocking Billabong, Rip Curl, you were cool, man. That was like, oh, those are the rich people. You know, they're the surfers. You know, probably into dirt biking, surfing, you know, Billabong, Rip Curl. And I remember when I went shopping once with my mum, I was like, Mum, can I go buy some like Rip Curl? She's like, yeah, okay. And we went out, she pulled out a shirt and it was like $120. She was like, and we walked out, I was like, wow.
So expensive.
Yeah.
So expensive. But
some clothing, it's so expensive, but yeah. Bathing ape, that was kind of back where I was from.
I'm going to Google that.
Yeah. You'll see it like, that's fucking ridiculous. What the heck?
It's good. It's good. I love it.
Yeah. So anyways, thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you.
I'll let you get to your day. Obviously, you have had a busy 2 months, so go enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
You know, so I appreciate you coming on. Anyone watching, hope you bought your gems. You know, if you're looking to get into the real estate industry, mate, this is the podcast for you. Not just about that, but also developing yourself, developing your craft or whatever industry you're in. Hopefully people took their notes and yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. Thanks for coming, brother.
Thank you.
Bro.
Thanks so much.
Yep. Easy.